Dear students, welcome to the fourth part of the research proposal series. Now, in the last class, we discussed about the title of the research project, research question, broad objective, and specific objectives. In today's class, I'm going to cover background or literature review and references. So, in today's video, we are going to define what literature review is. We are going to see how to search for literature, how to write literature review, and finally, how to do referencing in a proper way. So let's go into the core part of today's class. So what do we mean by literature review? Again, the formal, really tough to understand, difficult, confusing definition first. Don't worry, I'm going to explain it very soon. So the formal definition is, a literature review is a comprehensive summary of previous research on a topic. Now, if we break this definition down part by part, we will find three main keywords. Number one, review. Number two, comprehensive summary. And number three, previous research on a topic. So again, just to say this easily, whatever our research topic is, we are going to find all the major research done on that topic. And then, once we are done reading, we are going to summarize the previous research. So that is what literature review is. Let me explain with an example. I guess that will be much easier. Say you are going to do a research on digital media. So we have a lot of digital media platforms currently in the world. So we have Facebook, WhatsApp, Google+, then Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, and many others. So say for now, we are going to do a research on one of these or some of these digital media platforms. Now, there have already been thousands and thousands of research reports done on digital media. Famous big shot authors have already done a lot of research on this topic. Now, all of these books, articles, studies, reports, whatever has been done till date by all the authors, collectively, all of these are called literature, right? So collectively, all of the reports, books, articles, all of them are collectively called literature. Now, our task before we start our own research and start collecting data, doing surveys, is to go through these major studies done on digital media platform and briefly summarize the findings of these studies. So what were the studies about? What were the previous studies saying about digital media? So we have to summarize that. And that summary is called literature review. So now do you get my point? So again, we have to go through the major studies, not all of the studies, major studies done on digital media, and then summarize those studies. That summary will be called literature review. Now the key point to note here is that we don't have to go through all the studies done on digital media till date. I mean, there are thousands, millions of studies done. We don't have to go through all of these. We have to basically go through the major ones and write down our summary. Now, what are the different types of sources of literature? Obviously, we have books. Besides, we also have reports. We have theses or internship reports, right? So we can find some study done there as well. Then we can also find some information in the newspaper. Now we already know these four. Now at the very top, we also have academic journals. These journals contain studies done by famous academic authors, famous book writers. I will very shortly give you an example. What do I mean by academic journal or academic journal articles? Don't worry about that right now. Just keep in mind that these academic articles are written by famous academic authors. Now, before showing you what an academic journal is, I want to say one last thing about this slide. We can collect data from any of these sources, but the quality of the information available in these sources, the credibility of the information is not the same. Let me give you an example. All the newspapers are not of same quality, right? I guess you know that already. So the same thing applies for all of these different sources. Now, generally speaking, information collected from academic journal articles and books, they are of highest credibility. Then we have reports of famous organizations. Then we have PhD theses. And then finally we have newspapers. So whenever we are doing an academic research, we should try to collect data from academic journals, books, or famous reports first. Alright, by now we have seen the different sources of literature. Now the next question comes: where to search and how to search for literature. I mean, there are thousands of books in the world, thousands of reports in the world on digital media. Where do you find all of them? And even if you find all of them, how do you decide which ones to focus on? Which ones are the major ones? I mean, it's not humanly possible to read all of these articles, all of these books, right? So searching out the proper literature or the proper source of data is a skill, right? If we fail to do that, if we don't know where to search, how to search, our situation will be just like this picture. I guess all of you can understand what do I mean by this photo, right? I mean, many of the times we'll be looking at the wrong place for our literature, when the literature is actually sitting somewhere else. So don't be like Tom here. So without further delay, let's see where to search our data or our literature. The first option is obviously go to your internet browser, maybe it's Google Chrome or Firefox, and then just type digital media or your research topic. If you press enter, there will be thousands of reports, thousands of articles, thousands of newspaper coverage. But we need to decide which ones to read, right? Now, as I said earlier, not all of these reports or newspaper articles are authentic or reliable. So for reliable sources or reliable report, what we can do is go to Google Scholar. Don't worry, it's a new term. I'm going to show you right now what Google Scholar is, how to find an article in Google Scholar, and how to decide which ones to read. Now, in order to show Google Scholar, I am going to go to my internet browser and start showing you the whole process. So if you are watching this video on a mobile phone, I would request you to go to your PC or laptop and follow me step by step so that you can understand the whole process very easily. Alright, let's move on. Now I'm on my browser. So I'm going to type Google Scholar here. Yes. So enter. See the first option, Google Scholar. So if I just read the first few lines, Google Scholar provides a simple way to broadly search for scholarly literature. Scholarly means academic. So we are going to search for scholarly or academic literature here. So in Google Scholar, we will find a huge collection of academic literatures. Let's go there. So I'm selecting Google Scholar. So next it comes to Google Scholar, right? Now I can start typing my research topic here because I want articles related to my research topic. Now let's go back to the presentation slide and let's see what research topic do we have. So this was the last slide we went through. Now moving on, how to search in Google Scholar. How do we search for articles? So the first thing here is to search with key terms. Now what do I mean by key terms? Key terms are the basic or main terms in your research title or in your research question. So key terms are the main terms. So I guess it will be much clearer when I explain it with examples. Let's move on to a real life example. So let's do a practice searching. Say your research title is Effectiveness of Facebook Marketing in Bangladesh, right? So this is your research title. So now in this title, what are the key terms or main terms that we have? Number one, we have Facebook marketing, obviously. Second, we have the term Bangladesh, right? That's another key term. And finally, we have effectiveness. So when we do the searching in Google Scholar, we should use these three terms to get better results. Alright, enough talking. Now let's move on to practice. Let's have some hands-on practice. So I'm moving back to my browser again. Now, when I show you the searching method, please take note. I am going to show you multiple searching methods, right? Now, first, I am going to show you the least efficient method of searching, the least efficient one. And from there, step by step, I am going to move on to the most efficient way of searching, all right? So now, let's start with the least efficient one. Let's start by typing the whole title. So my research title was Effectiveness of Facebook Marketing in Bangladesh. So I start by typing the whole thing, right? So now press enter. See, it gives a huge list. So if I scroll down, it goes on and on and on. And then it's not only this page. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are different pages. So for example, if I click on page 2, it takes me to the next page. Now in this way, we can keep going on forever, right? That's the least efficient way. This should not be done. Now let's make it a little bit more efficient. So here, as you can see, it's written page 2 out of 10,800 results. So after typing this whole title, I have found 10,800 articles. That's insane. We don't need this much of information. So I need to bring it down. All right. Now in the next method, I am going to use key terms rather than typing the whole title. Now before I start with key terms, there are some other aspects that you need to learn. Let's go back to the presentation. Now moving on to the next slide, this table is really important. Please try to understand this table very carefully. So in this table, look at the examples column. So the first cell of the examples column, we have written Facebook marketing and effectiveness and Bangladesh. So we are going to type this thing in the Google Scholar search bar. Why? Because when we use and in between these words, what happens is, as a result, only articles containing all the 3 key terms will be shown in the result. So do you get my point? When I write it like this in the Google Scholar search bar, only those articles will be shown where all of these 3 terms, Facebook marketing, effectiveness and Bangladesh, all of them are present. So what happens here? What is the benefit? The first time when we searched with the whole title, the number of articles were 10,800. But when we use and, the number of articles will be brought down, because only those articles will be shown where all of these 3 words are present. So here we are using and as a connector. Now the other connector is or. What happens when we use or? So in the Google Scholar search bar, if we type it like this, Facebook marketing or effectiveness or Bangladesh. So what will happen there? Articles with at least one key term will be shown in the result. So as long as the article contains at least one of these 3 words, it will appear. So as a result, the number of articles goes up significantly. So by now, I guess you understand this is something we will not want to use that much, because using or, the number of articles will go up. We don't want that for now. What we are most interested in is using and. Why? Because it brings down the number of articles. So now let's go and practice. So I'm moving back to my browser, and here I'm going to type Facebook marketing and effectiveness and Bangladesh. Now please take note, when you write and, it has to be all capital. It must be all capital. Alright? So I have written the whole thing. Now before pressing enter, I have one last thing to do. Please take note again. This is also very important. Now here, the word Facebook marketing, I want these 2 words to stay together in the article. So I don't want to see that the word Facebook is appearing at the beginning of the paragraph, whereas the word marketing is appearing at the end of the paragraph. I don't want that. I want the word Facebook marketing to appear together, always. So if we want something like that, what we have to do is put this whole thing into double inverted comma. So just let me show you. Facebook marketing. So I am putting a double inverted at the beginning and I am putting double inverted at the end. So that's the thing that you need to do. So what this means is basically whatever is written inside it will always stay together. So alright, we are done. So before pressing enter, just let me summarize. So what I did here, number 1, I found out all the key terms in my research title. Number 2, I connected my 3 key terms by the word and in between them, right? So I have my 3 key terms and they are connected by and. And finally, number 3, what I did is I put the word Facebook marketing in between double inverted commas. Why? Because I want these 2 words to always appear together. So I'm done. Now I press enter. See what happened there? The number of results were 10,800. From there, it straight went down to 154 only. So that is a huge reduction in numbers. See how efficient this method is? So that's how we can search for articles in Google Scholar. So now let's get back to the presentation again. So moving on. Alright, till now we have brought down the number of articles to 154. Now my point is, still 154 is a huge number. How do we bring it down even further? We are obviously not going to read 154 articles, right? So how do we understand that among these 154 articles, which are the ones that we need to read? Which are the ones that will help us to write a beautiful literature review? So let's look into this process. So for that, what we need to do is follow these steps. So number 1, once your search result gives you a list of articles, read the title of the article first. Now by reading some of the titles of the 154 articles, we can have a brief idea that yes, this article might be helpful for me. By reading only the title of the article, you can easily eliminate 50 of those articles or 54 of those articles. So it's that easy. So let me just show you once again. So if I go back to my browser, the first title, F-Commerce in Bangladesh. I'm not sure whether it's going to work. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to ignore this one. Second one, an analysis on the impact of Facebook marketing on brand awareness. A case study on GSK product Horlicks. Yeah, this might be helpful. So I'm going to count this one. Then effectiveness of online advertising on social networking sites. A case study on Facebook. This might be really helpful, right? Next one. Facebook, one of the most prominent and effective mass media for consumer promotion in Bangladesh. Yes, this might be helpful once again. Next, digital marketing in Bangladesh. Yes, this might be helpful. Then effectiveness of digital marketing in Bangladesh. Yes, this might be also really helpful. So if I keep scrolling further down and maybe go to a page, say page number 7. So I click page number 7 and here let me read one of the titles. So an improved digital marketing life cycle to increase business credentials. I can say that this article might not be that much helpful for me. So I can eliminate that. Then correlates of Facebook use intensity, a Saudi Arabian study. This one also does not make any sense for my study, right? So yes, what I'm trying to show you is that by only reading the titles of the articles, you can eliminate a lot of articles. It's that easy, right? So now let's get back to page 1 again. So yes, we are back to page 1. Now once you have done that, so you have brought down the number of articles even further. Now the next strategy you can take is read the abstract or executive summary of some of these articles. So again, let's go back to the browser. So if I click on this one, see, this is a full article. Don't ever try to read the full article first time. Read the abstract or the summary of the article. So by reading this small para, you will have a thorough idea that yes, this article might be really helpful or this article might not be really helpful for me. So that's one of the other strategies. So by reading the title, you have eliminated a lot of articles. Now in the second stage, by reading abstracts, you can eliminate further number of articles. So moving on to the presentation again. Next, if you think it might be helpful, read the findings or discussion part. So you have read the title, you have read the abstract or executive summary. Now if you believe that the article might be really helpful, so now what you can do is yes, you start reading the main part of the article. what is the article saying. So now you start reading the article thoroughly. So as I said earlier, do not try to read all the articles thoroughly. It's not a good strategy. First thing you need to do is read the title, and then after reading the title, read the abstract of the articles that you have selected. And by reading the abstract, if you believe that it is going to help you further, then only you go into the depth of that article. And the last point, once you find a good source, look at its reference list to find out other good articles. I'm not going to explain this part now because I have not yet explained what's a reference list. You don't know what is a reference list. So once I explain to you what a reference list is, you will be able to easily understand what do I mean by this line. Alright, so these are the basic steps of finding out which articles to read and which articles to eliminate. So thank you for now. In this video, I have explained to you how to search articles, how to choose articles. Now once you have found out which articles to read, it's time for you to start writing your summary or the literature review by reading those articles. Now I will show you how to write a literature review in the next video.